If you are between 18 and 25 years old, you need to watch this video. I'll be talking about three main things. The first main thing is purpose. We all are in search of it, and it's important to talk about why you have a purpose and what that is and how to find it. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is faith. You are more than welcome to skip through it if you'd rather not hear it, but you get to hear my perspective. And then the last one, well, you'll have to stay for that last one. Let's get started with purpose. Everybody is in search of it, and it's rare to find someone that knows their purpose, that truly knows what their purpose is. And trust me, I've struggled to find mine. And I'm not saying that I know exactly what mine is, but I know very close to what I think I'm going to be doing. Now, I'm young, and so are you. But this is what you are really looking for. You're really looking for a purpose, something that you really hold close to you, something that. Let me just tell you how I found mine. I was 18 years old, walked across the graduation stage of high school, and I looked in the mirror, and I was not proud of who I was. I was not proud of how I was acting. I was not proud of what my body looked like. I was not proud of the direction I was going. And so I made a decision that day of graduation. I looked in the mirror and I said, things are changing. It's day one of things are changing. More about this with that last bonus content. But what happened was I strived to be the most average guy. I strived to fit in. I strived to be overlooked. I didn't want to stick out. And maybe you relate or maybe you don't. Either way, I hated standing out. At 7 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. That's not the point of this video, but it certainly made me stick out like a sore thumb. I got attention I didn't want. I got labeled things I didn't like, and I made it my identity. So I made my new identity during those school years to fit in. And my purpose was muffled because of that decision. Finally, when I was graduating, I didn't know who I was. I had this fake identity, and I needed direction. So this is what I did. From that moment forward, until I graduated college, I sought out every experience I could do, and I ran at it full steam. Experience can mean a lot of things. Here are a few of them from me. I went and I drove places I've never driven to, out of states, to other states. I'd take a one-day weekend trip. I was broke. I couldn't afford a lot of things, but I could afford one day of driving. Let's do it. I went skydiving, saved up for a couple months, went on my first skydiving thing. I finally did something that was scary and that I wanted to do, and that I accomplished it. I followed through. It was no longer of this one day. I promise you I'll talk about that purpose very soon. Throughout trying all of these experiences, I joined Toastmasters. I joined a ballroom dance thing. And I know some people are like, that's gay. Who cares? I still did it and I enjoyed it. You cannot find your purpose unless you commit to finding out new things. Better said, to find your purpose, you have to first fail at a bunch of things that are not your purpose. The easiest thing to find what you like is to find what you don't like. Nobody does this whenever you hear it on a video, but I'm still going to say it anyways. If you were to pause this video right now and get out a piece of paper, yes, a paper, not your notes app, not a Google Doc, but a piece of paper and a pencil, and you were to write down in one column all the things that you don't like truly you don't like, I think you would become much closer to what you think your purpose is. And I know most of you aren't going to do that. Or maybe you think I could do it after the video or whatever. This is yours for the taking. But that's what I did. I first had to write out, what are all the things that I hate doing / dislike? And then I wrote them down. And then I said, am I sure? Am I sure that I don't like these, or is it just because I haven't tried them that I don't think I like them? After I confirmed that, then I had to write down, what are the things that I think I might be interested in, vaguely, and try it. I tried beekeeping. Yes, getting a hive of bees. You order 10,000 bees. They are shipped a few months later in the springtime. You build a hive, and then you go from there. I did it with my sister, who is an expert beekeeper. But I realized I don't like this. But you have to try things in order to know if you like them or not. How ignorant can you be if you say, I don't know what I want to do, but you never try anything in the first place? To figure out your purpose, you have to figure out what you don't like and then try the things that you might like. Start there. Every year of college, since I made that decision at high school graduation, that I wanted to be a man that I'm proud of, that I want to have direction and purpose, I tried so many things. So many things. So many things I can't even remember all of them. But what I do remember is how much it has shaped me into who I am today in a much greater way. And maybe you're somebody that's sitting here, you don't go to college, or maybe you're in college, or maybe whatever, and you don't try things. And you're like, it's too late. It's never too late to try something. Sign up for that organization and quit if you have to. It's better to sign. I don't care if this is controversial. I would say it's better to sign up and try something for a week and quit it than to never sign up at all. A lot of people disagree with that, but I say at least you tried. At least you got a taste of it, right? I found my purpose by consistently pursuing things that I might be interested in. And it had to first start with me being willing. Now that I'm post college, now that I'm sitting here passionate about something I want to do, which I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to be a keynote speaker. And you're like, that's laughable. Or it might be like, you're trash at speaking. Either way, it doesn't matter to me because I'm passionate about that and I want to do that. So the next thing I want to talk about is you are going to try a lot of things that you're not good at. And that's okay. It's okay to still find something that you think you might have purpose in and you might still be bad at it. That's okay. That is okay. Do you think any of the presidents of the United States knew how to be a president the moment they stepped into that White House? They didn't. They had no idea, but they were figuring it out as they went. If you want to be a dancer, an excellent dancer, which by the way, I suck at dancing, but I tried it, then you have to try something. You have to do it, start it. To find purpose, you have to try things. Now, to find your true, heartfelt purpose, I'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Now, between 18 and 25 years old, there's another pivotal part of your life, and that's deciding what you believe in. And I get it. I've been where you are, where I don't want to hear people's take on faith, and you are more than welcome to skip this. But I'd be honored if you heard me out. Here it is. I grew up in a Christian home, and I didn't see much benefit in it. I just thought it was wishful thinking, good deeds, something cool. But there was one thing that I always admired about my older sister. She spent every day on her knees in prayer and dedication and reading the Bible without fail. And I'm just like, how are you going to spend every day doing something that might be fake? I didn't understand it. And so up until about 16 years old, I continued to believe that this is something good to believe in, but I don't know if it's true. A pivotal moment happened when I went on a retreat, and I was used to the motions of how Christian retreats went. And the pastor said something. He said, there are those of you in here that have gone through the motions enough and that will leave here without really giving your life to Jesus. And for some reason, it just struck a chord in me. It was just like, that's me. And I haven't made that relationship with Jesus a priority yet, and it's not going to hurt to do it. So let's do it. And then I was all in. Went up to the altar, and I was like, all right, in Jesus' name, I give you my life. I'm tired of the way I've been living, and I'm yours. Now, something important to note here. I gave my life to Jesus. I surrendered. But nobody really saw change in me until a couple of years later when I was 18, again, walking across that graduation stage. Now, this is important because People can believe in Jesus, they can believe in him, know about him, but they might not know him. And I, as simple as I can put this, if you have a best friend but you never hang out with them, do you really know them or do you just know about them? Right? So it was the same thing. I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know him personally. And so I'm getting excited about this because it's just so cool. When I was 18, about the same time that I was graduating, I said, I'm actually going to live out my faith. And what that means is I'm actually going to pursue this with seriousness. So what that means, what that meant for me is I'm like, I don't like reading the Bible. I thought it was boring, but I'm going to commit to reading one chapter every day. And the chapters are pretty short, by the way. And so I started with the book of Proverbs. It's known for wisdom, and there's 31 chapters. So it was easy for me to do one chapter for each day of the month. And I started getting excited to read it. Every day I started getting excited. I started like, wow, 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 this is so good. And the second thing I started doing is I started praying that God would make the scriptures interesting, that I would get a longing to read it. And guess what happened? That exact thing happened. I started getting a longing to read it. And the reason I'm telling you this is because if you're between the ages of 18 and 25 and you don't believe in Jesus yet, I'd invite you to consider. And you know, this next thing I'm going to ask, it doesn't hurt you at all, but it does take you to be a little willing. You ready for this? What if you just prayed, Lord, I don't know if you're real, but if you are, show up? What if you just prayed that and see what happens? That's enough on faith for now. But this is important between the ages that this video is about because this is statistically one of the last times you make that profound decision of what you believe in. Now for the bonus content, okay? I could talk about so many more things between these critical ages, but one of the biggest things that you can also decide to do outside of faith, outside of what purpose you're going to follow, is your health. And please stay with me here. I'm not some fitness fanatic. I'm not an expert in the gym. But what I do know is that when you look in the mirror and you're proud of what you see, it makes you so much more joyful, happy, proud of yourself, confident. It just gives you so much relief. And yes, I get it. A lot of us are victims to what our parents fed us or to the lifestyle that we were taught. But just because you were a victim to that lifestyle does not mean you can't change it. So this is what I'd encourage you with. If you are at a weight that you don't love, write it down and say, what can I do to change this in an easy way? Just write it down. There's something about writing it down. It's like bringing it to life of saying, I recognize that this might be a slight challenge and I want to change it. So write it down. And you know what? I'm going to tell you this too. I told this to one of my best friends when I was 17 years old. I was working at this Chick-fil-A restaurant and I was working with my friend and we started hanging out more. And one day I looked at him and I said, hey, you know what? You're fat. And he looked at me and he said, I am. With a very serious look. That's all I said. That's all he said. And then over the next couple months, I saw him start to change. He started to change. He started to slim down. He started to eat less and work out more. Not because he did it for me. He did it for himself. Was he aware of that? Yes. Did he need someone to tell him that? Yes. I'm not saying go tell your best friend that. I'm just saying that's the kind of relationship we had where we could be honest with each other, and that's what he needed to hear. And so he did the same thing with me about my faith. Because again, I was 17. I wasn't 18 yet where I made that pivotal change to be serious about it. So he started saying, hey, you say you're a believer, but then you do that. How can you say that? And I was like, whoa. Like, nobody wants to hear that. No Christian wants to be called out. No person that is living their life wants to be called their fat. But this is how growth happens. You have to be aware, and then you have to pursue the healthy change. So I want to leave you with this. You can change where you're at. You have so much potential, and I believe that you can get there. If you want help getting there, specifically for the men, I have a course. It's in the description. You can check it out. Adversity shapes the man. Boldness defines the warrior. Peace.